All right, thanks, Cindy. Welcome, everybody. My name is Bryan Peck. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at Mazevo, and we're going to be talking about solving your most challenging event management issues with Mazevo. And I'm joined here, as Cindy said, by a couple of my colleagues, Dean Evans and Claire DeGroot, with me, and we'll all be kind of tag teaming this presentation here today. So I'm going to start off with things and share a few things with you, and then I'm going to pass it over to Dean. With that said, we would love it to be interactive, so please feel free to put any questions you have in the chat option there, and Cindy and Jen will be watching that and will let us know if we get any questions there from you. So all right, so let's jump into it. First thing, you're probably here, you probably already have an idea of what Mazevo is, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, Mazevo is a modern room scheduling and event management platform. So it's for colleges and universities, and it's designed to help you manage all of the details that go with scheduling your space. Things like equipment needs, room setups, catering, billing. There's a public events calendar in there. You can do reporting. It's got a classroom academic scheduling component. So very similar to other tools that are out there that you're probably familiar with already, like EMS or Ad Astra, CollegeNet. What makes Mazevo different is we really designed it from the ground up to be simple to use, yet still powerful and having all the tools that you need. So just wanted to kind of set the baseline with that. And with that said, the main thing we're here to talk about today are the common event management problems that we see that people usually come to us for that they're looking to solve. The first one that we hear the most is inefficient scheduling practices. That typically is because there's no single source of event information in the department, or if we're talking about a whole campus, in the whole campus there. So, you know, you're doing double data entry. There's information kind of scattered around. Nobody knows where to go to get the information they need or who to talk to, things like that. So it just creates a lot more work and processes and things like that. So that's one thing we hear a lot. The second thing is limited access to information. And what I'm getting at there is that, you know, if you're sitting at your computer at work all day, you can probably find the information you're looking for, you know, by going into whatever program you're using and finding it in there. But the trick comes into when you're away from your desk. Let's say if you're somebody who's doing some operations work with your department and you're doing room setups, maybe you're delivering equipment, things like that. Typically, you're not going to be sitting at your desk a whole lot. And usually the way that's traditionally been managed is if you're on the operations team, you know what to do because you have a piece of paper that you run around with all day long that says, here's the events that are going on, here's what I need to be doing, things like that. And what will happen is if there are any last minute changes, things like that, somebody's got to go track that person down, find them, let them know, hey, something's been changed. So the access to information is limited that way, where it's just whatever's on the paper report, and there's no electronic way to get that out to people's phones or notify them there of what's going on. The third thing we see a lot is whatever system is in place is difficult to use. And where this most commonly manifests itself is with your customers or the people, staff, faculty, students, the people who are trying to request space on campus. They may know where to go. There's a form or something online that they can fill out to make their request. But a lot of times it's difficult to use. They may not be able to figure things out. They may get stuck. And so what happens? They send you an email or they give you a call. And that's just an inefficient process when that just starts happening more and more and more. And so people just resist using the system. And so it just creates trouble that way. The other thing we see is training new users is difficult sometimes. We're hearing about this more and more now that, you know, staffing is kind of becoming more and more of an issue for a lot of schools, and, you know, turnovers there. And some of the systems that people are using are somewhat, you know, old or out of date. And so it just takes a long time to kind of make sure people are comfortable with it and get trained up on what they need to do. And so that can just eat up a lot of time, effort, resources that way, that frankly, these days, a lot of people just don't have. So, and then finally, the last thing that we see a lot is people feel like they're stuck with whatever system they have. You know, they know that the current status quo, the current system that they have isn't really doing it for them anymore, and it's creating a lot of trouble and workarounds, and it's just not efficient and things like that. But when they think about changing, it feels like it's too much work. It's going to be really difficult, time consuming, it's going to be expensive. So they're like, I don't even want to think about that. And they just kind of make do with things. And so the purpose today is we're going to show you how Mazevo addresses these common issues and challenges that we see, and give you a little taste so you can kind of see this is what Mazevo looks like and how we handle that kind of stuff here. So with that said, I am going to flip things over to Dean, and bear with me here while we move the control over. And Dean is going to share with you, he's actually going to go into the Mazevo system and show you what it looks like here. So let me here. All right, Dean, are you able to share yet?
Well, let's give it a try. Disabled, no. Host disabled participant sharing.
Okay, bear with me. All right, you are now the host, Dean. I made you the host, so you are able to share.
Okay. Well, let me jump right in here and share my screen. So I've logged in here to Mazevo as an administrator, and I'll just kind of give you a lay of the land here of what some of the tools are. So as an administrator, I get to see pretty much everything in the system. So this first series of tools over here, these are used by event planners. So these are people that are managing events, you know, changing resources, looking at things, just managing the entire operation would be in this column. If you choose to do academics, this is where you would import data from your SIS and manipulate it and assign rooms. Our reporting tools here are laid out. Mazevo has the ability to create invoices and bill for all of your events. And so these tools right here would help you do that. And a couple of other tools here, operations. So operations to us, that's the folks that are setting up the tables and chairs and delivering AV and catering. So we've got a whole set of tools that are designed specifically for that group, both here on the desktop. In this case, my desktop is this browser, but also on your phone. And I'll show you that a little bit later. And another tool that we've added to Mazevo here is what we call secondary approvals. So an example of that might be events that are over 100 people need to have campus safety approve them before they can continue through the process of your approval. So that's what this secondary approvals is right here. So we're going to touch on a couple of these tools here. So I've got here in another tab, I've got the event book. So this is a tool that you probably have if you're using a system today, that allows you to see your rooms and time, kind of a day at a glance here. The colors here, we have a concept that's called status. So an easy way to think of that is it confirmed? Is it tentative? Is it canceled? So the colors of this are all in control. So you're seeing here first principles training going from roughly 12:30 to 6:30. You've got the blank bars at the end of that kind of setup and tear down time. This afternoon weave up here, this is in a request status and it's highlighted by that color. So again, you can kind of see all sorts of information here. this tool is the one we find most of our folks use the most is they start here to see everything. You can drag and drop, you can add new events from here. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to open up this afternoon weave class here. So the basket weavers, they've created a little 3-day event. So it's every Wednesday for the next 3 weeks. You can see here that it's the times in there. You've got some setup and tear down time on it, where it's located, setup information, pricing information, all of that. So this is our tool that allows an event planner or an administrator to manage this event. And all of the details are held right here in this one tool for this one event right here. So everything's kind of at your fingertips. Here's the bookings. So that's the rooms that they have reserved, the resources that they're using day by day, any notes that you put in, you can put in here. Now, these are internal notes and things like that. I'll skip over here, approvals. So these are what we call secondary approvals, and you can have these automatically added to events as they're created. And these approvals can be triggered by, if there's AV or catering or location based. So you're seeing here an example of that. You'll see this more when Claire shows you how a request is put in the system, but we can gather additional information for the request and put it here. So it's all free form kind of text. We can manage your invoicing, your to-do list, and we can also send out emails at the end of this. The one thing we see a lot of people do here is send a confirmation back to the requester. In this case, it's Dean Evans. And the confirmation is kind of a document that summarizes all of those details for each day and all of the details and resources used across that. And that's what this document looks like. And it's similar to what an invoice would look like. It calculates all the charges all down here. You can even put deposits and things like that on there. So what I want to do now is kind of go back and look at some of the reports that we have in the system. I've got some pre-run here so that you can kind of take a look at those. What we call the event list, just simple date, time, and the name of the event and who's having it, right? So it's a very simple list. You can run these for any period of time that you want, whether it's a day or a week or any number of days. The next report I want to show you is what we call our operations report. So this is something that your setup crew or your AV staff, catering, this is kind of an overall view of this, of all of the events going on for a particular day. The orange bar here, that's just our color of our logo you can see up here, but your school color would be there. That's the actual date and time and the location of the event. And then underneath it here, all of the services that are required for that particular day. So a couple other reports that we have in here. Again, we track inventory of resources. So I've got an example here of this is catering for the next few days. So if you wanted to know how many vegetable crudités you're having, you're going to use 130 over the next 3 days. So just one way that you can get some resource usage and kind of for planning purposes. Another one of the reports that we have is analytics. It's very easy to get this data. In this particular case, I'm looking at room usage for the last month, and I wanted to see the top 10 rooms that were used the most. And here they are right here. You can drill into those and see additional data on each one of those 40 events or 36 events. And another tool that kind of helps the accounting folks out is what we call revenue analytics. And this is all the revenue and charges out there for all of the events within whatever time period you want to run. So that kind of gives you at a glance some of the information there and a quick overview of what Mazevo would look like. So Bryan.
All right. Thanks, Dean. So if you could just make Claire the host now of the meeting, it's under participants, and then right next to her name, click the more and make her the host.
Okay.
So while Dean's setting that up, Claire is now going to show what the system looks like from the customer's perspective. So think of somebody like a student, a
Okay,
staff,
Claire.
faculty member that wants to make a request. This is going to be what they would see, the request form here. So,
Okay. Thanks, Dean. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. And I've also logged into my Mazevo, and I've got my requests here. I'm simply going to just click on this add new request, and it's going to take me through a bunch of little breadcrumbs up here. I'm going to put my event name in. I'm going to say this is a debate club meeting. And then the event type, these are all configured by you. So this is just in my example. I'm just going to say this is a meeting. And then the organization, think of this as organizations that I can book space on behalf of. So if you have students that just are maybe in one club, they'll only have one, but these are just the ones that I have set up in my system. And then I put the number of people, I'll do 10. Now it's going to ask me for a start and end time. I've got my specific date ranges that I can pick, similar to Google and Outlook calendar. Or I can simply just go on the calendar and pick dates. They don't have to be in any particular order. I'll just pick these 3 to show you as an example. And then I'm in the student center. Maybe I have access to other buildings, but I'm in the student center. Think of me as maybe a freshman. I really don't know what the campus looks like. I have all these options. So what I can do is I can click on one of these and it's going to give me more information. You can put a picture in there. You can have the room setups, how the room can be set up if you let them choose it. You know, you might not let them choose it. It might just be as is and they wouldn't even have that option. But we try to make it easy for the customer to just go through this process. Now, here are my options for the room setup. I can pick an option here. I'm just going to say I want the classroom style. It puts this little icon there so I can see that. And then here these are options. Again, you set this up. So if you don't want to give them other options for any service providers, you wouldn't see this screen. I'm just going to pick some facilities and some audio visual just to show you what that looks like. And here's my list of things that I can pick from. This might not be your whole list. You're just giving them certain, or it could be. That's totally up to you. Again, configurable by you. I'll pick a table. You can put some notes in here. Oops. So then that will go on there so the person knows where to put that table. Here's my list of equipment. I'm just going to say I want that. That's all I need. Now these questions appear dependent on, it could be the room, it could be the service providers, it could be the number of people in the event. You do have to answer these questions, and these are questions that you choose. So it can be a drop down. I'll say, no, I don't need any help. And then I'm just going to say none needed. I do have to answer them. So you want to make it easy for the customer to go through the process and not have a bunch of questions. And then here's my list of events that I've actually made. And you can see some of this one's been denied. We have a concept of status. I can see these 2 are pending, and then this one is booked. So if you let them change this, they can go in and change this as well, depending on the rules that you have set up for them. Maybe I decide, oh, I don't want to do this. I want to change the time on this one. I can go in and actually change that if I need to. But that's what I wanted to show you with that.
right. All right. And we're going to flip it back to Dean now, and he's going to show you our mobile app and so you'll be able to see what you can do on the phone. Claire, if you want to make Dean the host, so click on the participants there, and
He's the host.
there you go. Perfect.
All right. Well, everybody, I'm going to pull up Mazevo on my phone here, but I'll start with the. There we go. Let me move this around so I can see it. And you're looking at my phone now. I've got an iPhone here. But what I wanted to talk about first was Mazevo basically can be run in any modern browser, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Edge, and it can be run on Macs and PCs. So it really doesn't matter. It could be an iPad, it could be a tablet of any kind. It just needs a modern browser to run in. So with that, what we've done is we've designed it because it's in that browser. It's really easy to get access to the system. So if you're at home at night and you get a phone call, hey, we're having a problem with an event, you can just simply go to whatever device you have handy, whether that be your phone, an iPad, and you can, as an administrator or as a requester, get to any function in the system that you had permissions to on your normal browser back at the office. So there's no VPN necessary to get in. You just point to the Mazevo website and log in, and you're off and running. So in this particular case, I've got the system up and running on my, on my phone there. And here it is. And so I've logged in here as an administrator. And some of the tools I wanted to show you specifically was this manage operations. So this is a specific tool that we've designed, and it lends itself to a phone quite nicely. This is used by your setup crew. And when they go in here, they'll be able to see and filter the list of events for the day. And they can scroll through here and then quickly see, here's the chess club meeting. It's from 8 to 10:30, the location. And then some of the details about it, those icons kind of give you at a glance the things you need to look at and what you're doing there. So if you were an individual that was only in charge of delivering AV, you could filter this list down to show me the things that only have AV on it. So you have a couple of choices there. So I'm scrolled up here to this afternoon weave. That's the one I brought up in the browser a few moments ago. And so I want to kind of drill in here. So you can see on this, it's from 12 to 4. It's in the lounge, and there's some setup information going on here. So I'm just going to click on that on my phone, and then I get some more details up here at the top. And as I scroll down through here, I can see I've got audio, visual, catering, and room setup. So I can simply click on one of those and see additional information here that, oh, there's a microphone and a projector. Now you can even take this to the point of assigning this work to an individual. If you were a manager in this, you could assign the work to somebody, or it could be done on a first come, first served basis. And so we can actually manage here with those buttons, the not started, the in progress, and the completed. You can have those folks, as they're going through their day, mark off the things they've done. And then if for the event staff that's still in the office looking at their desktop, they would be able to see that same information up to date, who did it, you know, who did the AV setup and things like that. So all of that information is all built in. You can see we've got it color coded there with those icons. So if I go down here to the room setup, you can even have room diagrams here that are tied to this. And you can pull them up on your phone if you wanted to. You can actually take pictures and log information about these setups. So it's a very comprehensive tool for operations. And again, everybody sees this real-time information. One of the things we know from our EMS experience is that you typically run this, the way you do your operations is through a report. And when you print that report out in the morning, if there's any last minute changes, obviously those aren't on that report. So it's kind of difficult to manage. How do you get those last minute things out there to those people? When you do something with this on your phone or a tablet, it's all up to date. So any change that you made is automatically shown here in this particular thing. So with that, I kind of want to show you a couple of other things. We know accessing the information, based upon your role, whether you're an administrator or anything, is very important. So right here on the phone, you're able to get to a lot of the same tools that you had on your desktop back in the office. So here's that that event book. And as I scroll over, that same thing is there. So you can do the same thing here right from your phone. If I want to open that up. And here's that same event that I'd opened up and kind of tabbed through on the desktop in my first part of my presentation. But all of that information's here. You can see the resources. So what we envisioned is, if there's a problem, an emergency, and you're one of the admins and you're at home or out to dinner or something, and somebody called you with an emergency, you would still have access to that information right at your fingertips, right on your phone. Just log in and off you go. So we've designed it in that particular fashion. Now, you can add new events and you can do pretty much everything on the phone that you could do on the full browser on your desktop. Although we've taken some liberties of leaving some of the things out, you're really not going to be a global administrator and set up and configure the system from your phone. We didn't really envision that. So we wanted to make the tool shine and let you see things and touch the main things that you would do on a day-to-day basis. So with that, I will stop sharing. And I'll make you the presenter, Bryan.
All right.
I think there's a question out there.
Okay.
All right.
Hello, this is a great tool for meeting spaces. Does Mazevo have the capability of reserving housing spaces?
So you can reserve any type of space in Mazevo. I'll just start with that. So it doesn't matter what kind of space it is, you just block it for whatever time period it's in use for. However, as you start getting into housing, I would shy away from saying Mazevo is a great tool to manage housing. Like when you have 300 people coming in for a conference in the summer, it's probably not going to be the best tool for that, just because it's really designed mainly for meeting space, and there's no concept of like check-in, check-out, key management, roster management, who's in what room, things like that. There's other tools out there that are probably much better suited for that. So in a general way, that's how I would answer that question, but we can always get more into specifics if you want. So all right, so I am going to now bring up, I've just got a couple of last slides here, and please do, if there are other questions, please let us know. I'm happy to answer those. So I'll pull up my slides here. So just wanted to mention that whatever system you're on today, you don't have to be stuck with it like this poor guy right here, right? So a couple of things that we do to help with that is people can get up to speed with Mazevo very, very quickly. You've seen here today in the demo, it's got a streamlined look and feel. Our goal all along was to be able to create a system where you could put a new user in front of it that's maybe never seen Mazevo before, and just let them kind of start poking around in the system, and hopefully they would be able to figure out most of the functions in the system without really any kind of assistance. Our philosophy is keep it easy, keep it simple. So everything that we do with Mazevo, when we're talking about new features or whatever, we're always keeping that top of mind. And that translates into just making it easy to onboard people and switch over to the system. The other thing that we do, this mainly applies to customers that are using the EMS product. Because of our deep knowledge of EMS, we are able to actually convert your EMS data into Mazevo. And that's pretty much everything. That's all of your reservations, all of your resources, all of the notes, all of the pricing, all of the customers, your configuration, all of that stuff comes over into Mazevo, saving you a ton of time having to re-enter that information in there. So that's one thing. With EMS customers, they can be up and running and switched over to Mazevo in a matter of days, sometimes a few weeks, but it's not months and things like you may remember in the past. The other thing is Mazevo is affordable, so we've made it easy in that way to switch over. We sell Mazevo based on the number of rooms that you have, yeah, so that's some of the things we do to make it easy there. A couple of just key points on why Mazevo and why people consider it. One, it's a complete scheduling platform. So it's got everything in there to schedule all of your space, whether that is meeting rooms, big event rooms, classrooms. We have tools in there for the registrar to use, equipment, catering, billing, all of that, all in one system that way. Fast ROI that comes over, there's a quick return on investment. We don't want you paying for Mazevo while you're trying to get it implemented and up and running. So we want you to be up and running very, very quickly. Again, that's for most of our customers are up and running in a matter of weeks. Access from anywhere. So the phone app that Dean showed you there. So being able to access it, doesn't matter what device you're on. We want you to be able to get to it that way. And then the final one is excellent customer service. Back in the day when we were with EMS, we had a great reputation for customer service over there. And we definitely are committed to bringing that back here with Mazevo. And that's something we've already established a reputation for. So that's another big piece. We want you to be able to get the most out of the product. So, so next steps. So we've got a few minutes left here today. We're going to stick around and answer any questions that you have. But as far as if you're interested, if you've seen some things here today that you're like, that looks interesting, I'd like to learn more. You can do a few things. One, we have a guide to switching scheduling software systems out there. And it's just a guide that we put together with some of the reasons to switch, some of the benefits of switching, how to assess your current situation. So when you go shopping for software, you know what features are must-haves, what you need to be looking for, how to get input from other stakeholders on campus to address all the needs, and how do you ensure a smooth, seamless transition to a new system. We've got all of that in this guide. If you just send an email to the email there on the screen, sales@gomazevo.com, we will send that right over to you. The other thing is we can schedule a personalized demo with you and go through Mazevo for your unique situation and kind of show you some of these tools that we touched on today and do a deeper dive that way. And then finally, we'd like to offer a sandbox conversion for attendees today. So if you're on EMS and you're considering this, we can take your EMS data and put you in a no obligation trial sandbox for 30 days and let you try it out. So just let us know if you're interested in that. We can get you more details. If you're not on EMS, we can also set you up with a sandbox, but we won't obviously be pulling in all of your data from whatever system you're on. So, but we have done that for other people to, again, we believe, sometimes getting your hands on something and really seeing it for yourself. Is this as easy as it seems? Things like that is the best way to kind of evaluate things. So we're big believers in that. Let us know if you're interested in that. We've decided to offer that to everybody here today. So anyways, at this point, what I'd like to do is open it up to any questions here in the few minutes that we have left. So
Bryan, I answered one already for David. He asked, does EMS interface with Workday? And I think he meant to say, does Mazevo interface with Workday? And the answer is yes, it will interface with the Workday SIS system. So
okay,